What's up, y'all? So this morning I started a study in the book of Philippians, and I was pretty amazed at what Paul was writing about. So to give you some context, in this book, Paul, he's in chains, he's been arrested, he's in prison, and so his whole attitude here is amazing to me. And so one of the first things that Paul says, he says, "I thank God upon every remembrance of you." So it's hard to imagine. Here Paul is, he's arrested, he's in prison. In his very first part of the letter, he's thankful. He's talking about what he's thankful for. And I thought about how contrary that would be to most people, how most people would start off the letter with a complaint, or "Man, let me tell you what happened to me," or "This is awful," or whatever. But no, Paul is grateful for where God has them, and grateful for the memories that he had whenever he's writing this letter. And so when you think about the whole attitude of gratitude that Paul has here, in verses 12 through 14, he talks about what that produces. And he says in verse 12 of chapter 1, it says, "But I want you to know, brethren, that the things which happened to me have actually turned out for the furtherance of the gospel, so that it has become evident to those who place and guard, and to all the rest, that my chains are in Christ, and most of the brethren in the Lord have becoming confident by my chains, are much more bold to speak the word without fear." So there in verse 12, Paul is saying that he's looking back at the fact that he's in chains, and he's saying, you know what, as bad as it may have seemed at the time, God has used this to further the gospel, to tell others about how they can get to heaven through faith in Jesus, and how it's been a good thing. I'm reminded of Corrie ten Boom. She's pretty well known. She went through the concentration camps in Germany, and she talks about how God used that in her life to make her dependent and trust more in Him. But at the time, that seemed like an awful thing. And then in 14, it says that the purpose of these trials, was to make people more bold to speak the word without fear. So whatever trials, some common trials are maybe loss of a loved one through death, relationship or friendship trials, or financial troubles or persecution. Maybe you're battling sin. There's kind of a few I wrote down there. We think about all these things that we go through, and they're to refine us, to make us more like Jesus, and to be more bold, to share the gospel, to tell others about the good news of Jesus. I hope this encourages somebody out there that whatever you're going through, God is going to use it to make you more like Him and to further the gospel. So thank y'all. Hope this helps somebody out there, and God bless.